All right.
All right, welcome one and all. It's Kenoshi Abominito here with another episode of Project Console. Um, this is our year-end review. We won't be doing like a full-fledged like game of the year. We'll just be talking about games we enjoyed playing this year, games that really stood out to us.
All right.
Um, we'll also be talking about various topics, news topics that uh, really caught our attention throughout the year. And pretty much it. We'll just be running through aspects of the year. But before we get started, I'd like my panelist member to introduce himself.
Yo, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Buster. It's always good to be on another cast. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Anyway, what what standout games did you play this year? What were some of
Uh,
the
what standout games did I play this year?
yeah
Shit. Uh, Everything I played was just kind of like this was a good year for games, but everything I played a lot of retro shit too. But I played
yeah
War Tales. I played um Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Uh, I
yeah
played Born of Bread, which came out recently, but it pretty much feels like it it feels like the successor to Paper Mario that we always wanted, but we just can't seem to get because Nintendo just won't get their shit together with that franchise.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. That's about it.
Oh, let's see. I played, of course, the standout game for me was Hi-Fi Rush. Um, the Rush. I played through Tears of the Kingdom. Um,
Yeah,
I didn't beat it, but you know, I played a chunk of that game. I think the game's okay. Didn't hold my attention like Breath of the Wild did. It's
yeah.
kind of
I
funny
hate played that game.
because
I
the
was
thing,
like, no, go ahead. Sorry.
even though there's more stuff to do, I didn't really.
It's
I guess because
overwhelming.
yeah, it's a little bit overwhelming. The systems are
Yeah, there's
overwhelming.
no real focus to what's going on, so you just kind of feel like shit that should be fun and enjoyable becomes a chore.
Yeah, there are chorish aspects of it.
Yeah.
Um, but
Which,
yeah,
to be fair, most games have aspects like that where it's like, oh man, this is a slog. But
there's
Tears of the
still
Kingdom takes the negative aspects of Breath of the Wild and magnifies them
no
a little
games
bit.
that even games that have a slog like it's a it. There's a bit of a paradox to it where the slog is somewhat enjoyable versus
Yeah. Yeah,
because
Tears of the Kingdom, I didn't feel that. That's
yeah
what I'm saying. Okay, I'm a huge Harvest Moon fan. The payoff is you plant your the slog is you plant your crops, you water your crops, uh, and the payoff is you harvest your crops and you sell them to make money, which you use to upgrade your farm so that you can get better shit, so that you can plant better crops. You know, that's the gameplay cycle. Um, Breath of the Wild made the slog into like, well, this is still enjoyable. Like I'm exploring, blah 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 blah, and you never knew what you'd see around the corner. And there were enough limitations to where it's like, okay, how am I going to get through here? Like it's like you go into the cold region. It's like, well, shit, I have to have the proper equipment, or if I can't get the proper equipment, I'm going to have to make some type of hot stew and drink it, or I'm going to have to wear certain clothing, or I'm going to have to take a potion or something. And it
yeah
was like, okay, how am I going to traverse this area? A lot of those limitations are removed in Tears of the Kingdom. So it's like a lot of the uh, a lot of the difficulty, like even climbing with the ability to go through matter to swim through solid material. It's like, well, shit, climbing's kind of rendered useless, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
same thing that happened with Breath of the Wild with horses. They're like, oh, you can have all these horses. Yeah, but with the glider, horses are kind of useless, except for
right.
certain seeds, Korok seeds you want to get. Like you got to like ride a horse through a and hit certain targets while you're riding on the horseback. That's about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. For me, I didn't think it was terrible. I plan on finishing it. I plan on trying to finishing that game at some point. Definitely gonna cheat my way through it. With
You know, good luck with
um,
that. Is Nintendo going after people who emulate it?
uh,
Like, yeah, you paid us $70 for this game, but and it's your game now, but you can't mod it. I'm like, okay.
but yeah, another game I played this year, which is personally my game of the year, is so obviously um, Baldur's Gate 3. Uh,
Oh yeah,
the game is
damn,
great.
I forgot that game. That game's amazing.
Yeah, it's an amazing game. All the options you have, all the things that you could do, all the scenarios that could play out. It's like, man, like one of the scenarios at the beginning of the game, I was just like, man, you'd probably get more. You'd probably get more out of turning turning everybody against this particular character. It's this particular, I'll just say, particular druid character than trying to just save the growth because um or just but yeah, there's a that particular scenario. There's like a plethora of options that you could take. Basically, if you
Yeah,
basically a lot. It definitely that game does a fantastic job of creating the illusion of like endless
choice.
possibilities. Yeah,
Well, yeah. Basically, that game is a throwback to Fallout New Vegas, the Arcanus Arcanum, Arcanum of Magic and Steam. Um, that old school computer RPG where they weren't like, we're going to lead you down a particular path that we want you to go down. The choice is yours. Now, if you make a bad choice, that's on your ass.
yeah, yeah,
You fucked up. But the choices are there. You can make them if you want to. Now, personally, I love stuff like that. I love when games let me make choices. And if I make the wrong one, that's what save scumming's for.
yep, exactly.
That's why you're like, huh, this seems like an important decision. Let me save. Create an alternate save just in case I fuck up. I can go back and, and see what happens.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I I played that game once vanilla, and I beat it once vanilla, and then I played it with. I'm playing it right now with a ton of mods, and then I went back to it. Let me tell you something, man. Um, you don't know how good it feels to see an RPG made by people who love making RPGs. They didn't
Yeah.
s- they didn't dumb it down to make it easier for stupid people who don't want to put the time in to play the game well. Oh well, we got to make this approachable to everybody. So alienate your core audience?
Yeah. That's a problem that a lot of these games have, unfortunately.
I love it. I'm like, yes, this is what I wanted. Um, and like I said, I get a real Fallout New Vegas, like um, old school kind of, I get an old school vibe to it. An old school computer RPG, like late 90s, early 2000s games, which I'm okay with. Some people don't like that, but I'm like, look, not everything. I've said this before, and people get mad when they hear this. Not everything has to be. Um, Not everything has to be approachable to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Um, let's see. A lot of games I've played. I've played a few retro stuff as well. Going through Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Yeah,
Mm.
that game's really good. Um, Not super far into it. Just I just got to Hooktails Castle. Um, but yeah, that game's really good. The characters are, as far as I've seen, pretty well written, and it's just kind of like Nintendo. I don't know why Nintendo abandoned that formula. So kind of disappointing. Hopefully, uh, hopefully, with the remake of A Thousand Year Door, hopefully it
They'll
sells
get the
well enough.
fucking message
Yeah,
and stop dumbing down the game for noobs. Cause
yeah.
like Paper Mario's already pretty goddamn casual,
It's
and yet they
super
keep
easy.
on making it even more casual. I'm like, why? Why do you?
The game
Oh
is
god.
paper. Like I'm playing this game, and it's so straightforward. I don't know how. I don't know why people
And
think it's
well
so
written.
difficult. Yeah,
Like the opening of it, you know everything about Rogueport and from the opening of the game before you even talk to anybody. Like you see Mario coming in, and you see like Don Pianta, the classier side of mafia of the organized crime in Rogueport, beating the shit out of the dudes from the rough time. And they're like, "Hey, how's that rotate, punk?" And just run on. I'm like, God damn, shit, what type of shit hole is it? What the fuck, man? This is the shit you gotta deal with before you even get started.
yeah,
Um, and then we went from clever writing like that to the bullshit we got in Sticker Star and uh Color Splash and Origami King. Origami King, which was that game is so bad,
yeah,
and I stand by that. It is dog shit.
yeah. I just like
It's
how they.
hot buttered dog shit.
I just like how they take all the characters. Even like the enemies, like all the enemies.
Have
The
character.
have character. There are
Mm-hmm.
good Goombas and there are bad Goombas and there are good Koopas and bad Koopas, and it's just kind of like, oh, we can't. I guess we can't have nice things.
No, no, because the guy who's in charge of it right now is like, well, you know, we don't want to use any specialized characters. I'm like, why? Just arbitrary restrictions.
Yeah, I don't know. So Paper Mario franchise has just gotten really weird over the years. Um,
Well, you know,
I,
the th-
I actually enjoyed Super Paper Mario for even
oh
for its
yeah,
flaws.
it's got a
Cause
very dark story, which I enjoy, but I would say it has the darkest story in all of the Paper Mario games.
yeah, it's oh man, if you don't if you want to play a good retro game, that's a good retro game to play. But you're just gonna be disappointed by the fact that you know what comes after. I'll even give a Super Paper Mario. What comes after A Thousand Year Door and Super Paper Mario? You're gonna be like, this is what we had to give up for
Here's what
the
I'll say: Super Paper Mario, the gameplay is a letdown, but the
yeah,
story is actually really good.
yeah. It's
That can
interesting.
kind of help you assuage.
Yeah, because the
That can
villain
help
isn't.
you assuage some of the problems.
Yeah,
The
because the
issue
villain isn't
is
Bowser this time, which is interesting.
who?
No, the villain in Super Paper Mario isn't Bowser this time, which is interesting.
Well, the villain isn't the Bowser in Thousand Year Door either.
Yeah, I haven't gotten too far, but
Yeah,
yeah,
the villain isn't Bowser in that game either, which is amazing. So the villain isn't the enemy there. The enemy isn't Bowser's in Thousand Year Door, but he's not the main villain.
yeah,
He's not the main villain in Super Paper Mario either.
yeah,
And then we went back to that in Sticker Star, Color Splash, and Color Splash. Yeah, the problem with, in my humble opinion, this is the issue that I have with Super Paper Mario is, like I said, the gameplay is overly simplified to appeal to a larger audience. But if you thought the gameplay in Super Paper Mario was overly simplified, whoo boy, it gets worse in Sticker Star.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard this. I've heard great deals of disappointment when it comes to that game.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like in Thousand Year Door, even the revamp, there's a fight you can have early on in the game to get into the tougher part of town if you don't want to pay Crawdaddy. Not Crawdaddy. The guy who's holding up the other part of town. If you don't want to pay the 20 or 30 coins, and you can fight him. And if you're really good at that game and you know how to use the ultimate counter with the B button, basically when he tries to attack you with a spear, which does like 10 damage, it's like ridiculous. You can counter the attack and do 5 back to him, and it does no damage to you. So basically, it rewards you for being skilled at playing the game.
Yeah.
They removed all of that in Sticker Star. There are no perfect counters. All you have is a dodge and a block.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, they dumbed it down to the point where it wasn't even fun to play. And then all your attacks are based on stickers. So once you run out of stickers, you lose the fight. And that's the guy who's been in control of the franchise for years. And
Yeah.
that is why I just don't like the current Paper Mario games. They're hot buttered trash.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really annoying.
And you mention that to people, they're like, "Oh no, it's good." It's like, no, they're trash.
I so I picked up Super Mario, another game I played. The Super Mario RPG, the
Mm-hmm.
remaster, or not the remaster, the remake, for the Switch. Been enjoying it. I've been enjoying the graphics, uh, that they did to the game. A little bit of a disappointment because I feel like they could have done more. Because I
Yeah,
kept finding myself going back to the old Super Mario RPG. I've been playing a modded version of that game, and just some of the stuff they added is more interesting than what's in the new game, what's in the remaster.
yeah, that's
Mm.
the problem with Nintendo, is that they get mad at people who don't necessarily
You don't necessarily,
like if you make changes to their games, they get mad about it.
yeah,
They're like, "Oh, well, you're going against my artistic vision," but you guys don't care about artistic vision because if you did, your games would be better.
yeah, yeah,
Like you would have more innovation. Like Nintendo is based the innovation that they like is, oh, look how this looks. It's like, well, that's cool and all, but there needs to be something else going on here, and they don't want to do that. They get
yeah.
mad when you mention that. They're like, well,
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's fine for what it is, but it's just it probably could have been a little bit more.
yeah, yeah. I mean, look, listen. I'm not saying it's the worst shit ever, but I'm just saying that it could have been better. That's
Yeah,
all I'm saying. It could have been so much better.
yeah,
But they were like, look, we these arbitrary fucking restrictions. You're like, well, we can't do this. It's like, why? Who said this? Why would you? That's like someone saying, hey, I'm in a prize fight and I'm gonna fucking I'm in a prize fight and I'm not gonna use both hands. Why would you do that?
yeah, yeah,
Why would you be in a prize fight and not use both hands? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, let's play the Hogwarts Hogwarts Legacy. It was an interesting game. It was a relatively decent game. I don't really get decent licensed games very often.
No, we do not. No, we do
Um,
not.
that one
Most of
was
the time, it's some bullshit.
yeah, that one was all right. Um, but how about we talk about some of the stinkers that came out this year?
Okay,
Absolutely.
let's get to the meat and potatoes, if you will.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the stinkers. Um, one going back to the licensed games real quick. Uh, these games have been a bit of a guilty pleasure for me over the years. The Storm games. Um,
Ninja Story games.
yeah. So Bandai Namco decided to come out with one of the most atrocious cash grabs. Um, uh, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections. It's terrible. It's awful. It's copy and paste. Um, and they want to charge you. And they have like multiple tiers of this game. I think it goes up to almost $200 if you want the big, super, ultra, ultimate edition. So, um,
Bullshit, huh?
yeah, yeah. There was also, of course, Gollum, and then there was King Kong. Those were two probably of the worst games to come out this year. And then there was, as well as that fraud game. I can't remember. They pulled it out. They pulled it down. They shut down their studio a few years
Yeah,
ago. Um,
yeah. They were like, "Yeah, we this didn't make enough money. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what happened. It didn't make enough money. That's it.
yeah, yeah.
That's what happened." I'm like, "Okay, sure, yeah."
And they were just copy and pasting assets and stuff, and it was just awful. And then there was what else was a big stinker? Because everybody decided to, you know, people weren't too pleased with the Forspoken. I know that game didn't. That game
Yeah,
wasn't setting the world on
I
fire.
played that game. I got that game on sale for $30, and I can tell you, despite people hating on that game, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, yeah. Just
The problem with that game was that the marketing was terrible, and there wasn't a really good. Um, it wasn't well marketed, and there wasn't a clear vision of what they wanted that game to do.
yeah,
Like I think had they just marketed it differently and not tried to be so, like that meme with Steve Buscemi from Never Been Kissed. Hey fellow children, he's like an old ass man with a skateboard. It's like y'all are trying too hard to appeal to a certain generation with this game.
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
That's where they messed up.
Um, let's see.
You know, it happens. You know, like I don't. Here's what I'm going to say about Forspoken. Forspoken mechanically, like if you actually bothered to play the game is not poorly made. It's, dare I say, fun.
Hmm.
Um, the gameplay is fun. The story is interesting. What did that game dirty was the fucking what hurt that game like more than anything was the marketing,
Yeah,
and they spent too much on their budget.
yeah,
Um, and that kind of that got them screwed, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but playing the game, you know, I would not call that game a stinker. Like there are games that you play and it's like this game is hard. This game is like hard to play.
Yeah.
Like this game is or this game isn't fun. The game is fun.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, they spent too much money on it, and Square Enix is now those impossible. You know how Square Enix always had those impossible, like this game has to sell like 15 million units. A new IP that no one's ever heard of has to sell 15 million units. It's like, for real? That's like going up to a dude. No pun. That's like going up to a dude saying, "Well, I've never done this before. The first time, that's like a dude going to a 3-star Michelin kitchen and they've never cooked before. You got to make a 3-star Michelin meal. And if it's not up to that level, you're fired. It's like, but I've never cooked before. What? Or I've been working in McDonald's.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. Also, there was some. There was wasn't a stinker. It just came out busted, and that was Star Wars. Jedi Survivor. Uh, a lot of things I heard about that game. It's like, yeah, it's a good game, but it was busted when it first came out.
Eh,
I think it's better now, but
I don't even think it was busted when it came out. The problem with that game was that the developers could either do one of two things. They could either make it so that it ran okay on everything, or they could make it be balls to the wall amazing graphically. And they chose to make it balls to the wall amazing graphically
yeah,
versus running stably. Because the only way you could run that game is if you had an NVIDIA 3080 or 4080
yeah.
or higher.
And the thing is, yeah, because I know people that had like super high end GPUs, and it's like, yeah, the game runs fine. A lot of the people complaining, they were having,
Yeah,
they had like 60 series cards and like
yeah. They
lower
pulled
mid
a
tier
crisis with
cards.
that game.
Yeah,
Like the original Crisis, where it's like the game was so graphically advanced that the graphics card to run it properly commercially to the average consumer weren't available for like 5 years after the game came out.
yeah, everything had a shadow property, which was unheard of at the time. Even the tree leaves had a shadow property. It's again,
But
that's a,
not just that, the physics engine, the Crytek engine, like you destroyed a building, it affected everything else around it. Fire would spread throughout the foliage. You know, you knock down a tower, it would fall and hit something else and affect that too. We had never seen anything like that before.
yeah, yeah. That
Even
game,
now, the remake for Crytek for Crisis, for the first Crisis, you have to have a beast PC to run that shit properly.
yeah,
So I mean, you need people in the development sphere pushing shit forward instead of just doing what we've been getting, which is, well, we just need to make this run on everything, even your dog shit ass console. Yes, it's like fuck your dog shit console.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that was kind of the problem with because there were at least a couple other games like Alan Wake, and I think there was another game. Um, there was the revamp to Cyberpunk 2077 where they were doing stuff graphically, and people were just freaking out because they couldn't run it. And it's just kind of like, well, this is in this weird spot where I think the software is starting to outperform the hardware. And it's just
Well,
kind
it's
of
been this way with these
yeah,
consoles.
yeah, yeah. Like even
Because the thing is that these consoles aren't consoles in the classic sense of the term. Not like they were. Like they're mini gaming PCs. Mini gaming PCs that you can't upgrade the GPU or the CPU. So you're basically stuck with whatever shit you get.
yeah, 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 and even some of these GPUs, because most people typically go for the mid to lower end stuff like the 50 series or the 60 series GPUs when it comes to Nvidia, and like the 6600 or the 7600 or the 7700, or when it comes to AMD, and so
Yeah, but both consoles, both the both consoles are
both console and hardware.
both consoles are powered by AMD. AMD is not top of the line in terms of graphics, unfortunately. Even their best card is not close to what Nvidia can do.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm not casting aspersions. I'm not shitting on anybody. That's what it is.
yeah.
All right. I don't want nobody. Oh, don't say that. Come on, man. Let's let's be honest here, okay? Let's be 100% honest here, okay? So with that being said, people gonna get mad about that.
And then going on to some news, Cyberpunk 2077 CD Projekt Red had their apology tour, and they started, dropping, the expansion, the Liberty City expansion. Not Liberty City. What was the expansion called?
Phantom Liberty.
Phantom Liberty, yeah, Phantom
Yeah.
Liberty. Um, so yeah, we had that happened this year. They also updated their graphics, um, their hardware specification. Uh, there's also path tracing, which just destroyed every card, even the 4090. Even the 4090
Yeah.
got destroyed by path tracing, real time path
So
tracing.
they upgraded the shit out of it
Yeah,
with new tech, and the new tech is too powerful for what modern cards can do right now.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. In order to get relatively okay frame rates, you have to use DLSS, which is the stands for deep learning super sampling, which is a AI upscaling technique that these cards use. Not obviously each manufacturer has their own version of this.
Well,
AMD has like
basically,
this.
the card uses its extra memory to assist in generating what should be on your screen. That's all
Yeah,
it's. So even then, the shit's not working properly.
yeah, yeah. Definitely in the early days, it was pretty rough. I haven't really looked into seeing what it's doing now, but I'm sure it's still not.
Well, NVIDIA's
Not great.
DLSS is better because they've been spending more time upgrading it. But functionally, despite all of that, we're still at an issue where it's like, okay, that's cool and all, but you know, what am I paying for?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. You buy a nearly $2,000 card, uh, and you can't get you know you can't get the performance that you want at 4K Ultra, and you gotta turn on assistive tools to get the performance that you desire.
I mean, it
It's kind
doesn't
of a
bother. I mean, like I don't have Nvidia. I haven't bought Nvidia. Well, that's not true. I have an Nvidia card on my
laptop.
laptop. So in that regard, you know, I kind of have some issues, but by and large, I just
Yeah, I kind of got sick of Nvidia's BS. Um,
I just don't like spending all that goddamn money because I'm cheap.
yeah, yeah. There's
Nvidia
that.
is too expensive for me. All right, like I have a 3080 on my laptop.
Yeah,
Okay, and there's nothing to be ashamed of with a 3080. All right,
yeah,
and with DLSS activated, I can do all the shit that everyone else can do on their consoles, on their with their cards, with my laptop. All right, yay! But I don't even use my laptop that often. I really, I'm like, the only time I use my laptop is when I'm traveling.
yeah, yeah. And one of the things that just one of the biggest things I didn't like about Nvidia is their interface. Like AMD's interface, when it comes to
Slightly
like,
easier to get into.
it's easier to get into. It's much feels a bit more responsive. It's it just it looks a lot nicer. Nvidia really needs to update their interface when it comes to how they their control panel. Their control panel is
Yeah.
awful.
Thing is, they have no incentive to do any of that because people are gonna spend money on their shit anay,
Yeah, and
regardless. Because it's the best. It's the best. It's always the best.
yeah, well, there's no reason to do it. That isn't going to change anytime soon. That interface will be stuck in 2004 forever. uh, but in any case, do you have any big news topics that caught your attention this year?
Um, let's see, do I have any big news topics? I mean, the sheer amount of studios that have been Embracer imploding.
Oh yeah, Embracer is just destroying itself. It's like its stomach is cut out. It's like somebody just came in and cut open its stomach, and now it's slowly digesting itself from the inside out. Like what?
Yeah.
What? What the? What the hell? Like you? They bought all these studios with no plan. That's the problem. They didn't really have a. They didn't really have a. It's like, it's one thing to buy studios with like these intricate plans into the future, and then just to buy studios just to show how much power and how much sway you have in the industry. It's like,
Well, the
okay, now
plan
you got to do
was
something.
they were going to keep on acquiring other studios until they were going to keep on acquiring other studios until they could uh like it was just they went on an acquiring spree.
Yeah,
That was the plan. Just acquire as much shit as we can, and then absorb, like, and then merge with a bigger thing, and then everyone would get paid. Problem is that the one merger they needed to do, they didn't get, so they were fucked.
yeah. Who was that merger exactly?
It was with, I want to say, the Saudi tech concern that bought Arc System Works,
Oh,
or is it Neo Geo? One of the two.
yeah. I think it might have been I think it might have been the Neo Geo company.
One of the two. I just know that I was like, okay, this is kind of fucked up, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like now I will never buy any of your products because I'm not giving my money to the Saudi whatever the fuck corporation that is. Not doing it. Don't roll that way, son.
And then, well, they lost like $2 billion in value
Yeah, because
overnight.
they needed to merge. They were gonna get acquired by them, or like some merger, or like a partnership or some shit. And the guy's like the CEO left because they bought all these IPs, got all these studios, and none of the games coming out from these studios either they didn't come out or the games weren't major hits.
Yeah, like
Shit, they bought Gearbox. They bought Gearbox.
Gearbox is a terrible company. I mean, I like the Borderlands franchise, but that company is kind of pretty scummy.
That's the only IP they have is Borderlands.
Yeah,
Everything else that Gearbox tried to make came out and flopped. Remember Paladins came out and flopped.
yeah,
All right. If it's not Borderlands related or Borderlands adjacent, Gearbox can't get it out.
nope. Yeah, they tried the whole live service stuff, and this didn't work out. They stole money from Sega to put into Borderlands 2 allegedly.
Yeah, but when you see how polished Borderlands 2 is compared to Borderlands 1, yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it's fairly obvious what happened there.
I can't believe Sega just let them get away with that. I was
Well, because Sega probably gave them that money in good faith, saying, "Hey, well, we're going to give you this money, and you need to be able to do X, Y, or Z."
yeah. I just figured they'd at least sue or do an investigation, but Sega's like, I think at the time they weren't. I think at the time Sega wasn't exactly doing particularly great because I started hearing wonderings that it seemed like people were predicting Sega's complete downfall, but
They
yeah,
did, but look, Sega. You want to know why Sega managed to survive? Because Sega always has at least three IPs that are doing well at any given time. All
yeah,
right, they can always fall back on Sonic. The Yakuza series has been doing great. If Yakuza isn't doing well, they can always fall back on some of their retro IPs. Like Sega always has one or two IPs they can fall back on and be like, "Hey, see."
yeah, yeah. And then there's and then a few years after that situation, they ended up buying Atlas, so now they have Persona. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I don't know who's smart. I don't know whose big brained idea was to buy Gearbox. Um,
At Embracer,
yeah, Embracer.
uh, well, they probably saw that. I'm guessing that 2K was like, "We're tired of Randy Pitchford. We're done.
Yeah,
We want his. We want we're tired of Gearbox."
yeah. 2K is another company that's been on some good stuff lately too. Uh, GTA trilogy, how they handled Red Dead Redemption. Um, let's see what else. Uh, Obviously GTA 5 and how that's been handled for the past 10 years. So yeah, that's another company that's really smoking some good stuff right now.
Here's what I'm going to say about 2K. Right, 2K. This is the same company that comes out with WWF 2K. Right, NBA 2K.
Oh,
Right.
I forgot about those franchises. Yeah, they've been running those into the ground too.
They basically just release those games, and the games are always fucking busted, like consistently fucking busted.
Yep. And they
All right,
and to get any
remember they came out with the shit that was so busted that they literally were like, they had to cancel the next year's game so they get a handle on how to make the game the year after that.
Wow, what game was this? Was this their
That was
Bastard?
WWE because the
That was
people who used to
WWE.
make it were like, yeah, we're tired of making this, so we're gonna bounce. Like, we want to make other games, and they were like, yeah, well, we don't need you. Yeah, well, they kind of did because they were like,
uh,
we got our own engine. It's like, okay, because you like everyone was like, this game is so broken, we can't even play it.
yeah. Oh, I think that was that WWE like was that 2019? That that game
I
was
want to say 2020 because there was one year where they did some wrestling all star shit because it was so broken they could. It's like, what the fuck is this shit? It was some sad shit right there, man. It's
yeah, yeah. And there was and like the thing about the 2K basketball games is like one you had like the PC version was just last year's version with updated rosters, but they were charging $70 for it. In order to
yep,
get in order to get anywhere in the game, you had to like if you wanted to get anywhere, especially online, you have to pay real world money to to get certain characters. So
yep.
or certain
Or
players.
you could play it on PC and mod it to get all that premium currency and then get all your characters. But here's the thing, because I think I got a deal on it. But here's the problem, right? The problem with that game is that even if you did all of that, the way the game was built, it was just not fun to play.
Yeah,
Because it was built around the grind. Because if you played the game in such a way that you had all that shit, you got nothing out of it.
yeah, yeah. That's absolutely great. And I think one another big story that came out was the fact that there's a developer that basically said games are getting too freaking expensive uh, to create. So it's just kind of like I don't know. Maybe it's time to just shrink down your projects, focus more on art style, maybe focus some more on mechanics. Maybe have maybe have more baskets rather than one basket to put your eggs in. I don't know. It's just
See, here's the thing, man. See, you trying to make sense. Why you always trying to make sense? You know we don't make sense around here. Look, man. You know good and hell well that people don't care about that shit.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, fortunately, they have to have that big AAA game that comes out sometime throughout the year. They've been getting a little bit better at spreading out their big titles throughout the year because people have money all throughout the year. Uh but yeah, they have to have that game that game that will launch their launch their investment score up and over the moon. So it's it's unfortunate. I mean, look at Bungie. They're pretty much. I
Fucked.
think they're pretty much going to be cooked. I think within the next few years
Oh yeah,
because
because Sony, like people need to understand this. Sony is like Microsoft from back in the day. Sony is not good at managing studios,
yeah
and they ain't got the type of money where they can burn shit like burn money like Microsoft can. All right. Um. So
yeah yeah. And, and speaking of Sony, I used to think Microsoft was probably going to get like if there was two between the two companies who would go third party first, Microsoft and Sony. I used to think Microsoft, but now I'm leaning towards Sony just because of It's because what happened. It's because the news that came out the last couple of days about another big Sony hack. Another big Sony hack. I mean, this company is always getting hacked. Always getting hacked. I'm convinced that you know I'm convinced that there's some bad actors within the company, and it's an inside job. Like you don't get hacked this much as a big Fortune 500 company. You got some bad apples, uh, screwing with your shit, and yeah, I don't know what else to say.
That could be the case. Or, and hear me out here, or just Sony's a like thing about Sony is a shit company. It's been shit for years. We know this. People have tried to lie. Oh no, Sony's great. Are they though?
I look at this shit. Focusing mainly on PlayStation. Oh, yeah, focusing on PlayStation. Like, what did they do this year that was so great? Like,
Nothing.
yeah,
I
they
mean,
had
look,
nothing.
man. Spider-Man 2 came out, and Spider-Man 2 couldn't even win shit.
Well,
Think about that.
yeah,
Spider-Man 2 couldn't win a goddamn thing.
yeah. Spider-Man 2 just seemed like it came out. I mean, compared to a lot of the other big things this year, it came out like a wet fart. Like, it just
Yeah, a wet, stinky fart. Just
yeah,
like
yeah.
someone was sitting in a chair and they had rumble guts, and they were like, I'm gonna let it out, and hopefully it'll just be something that's not too serious. And man, they sharded.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And
Yeah.
say, look, Spider-Man 2 was a shirt.
Yeah.
It's a shirt.
I mean, they spent like half the year fighting Microsoft on their acquisition. That
And they
company won.
lost.
They lost that.
They fought and lost. Okay, it wasn't like, oh, we kind of sort of we put up a good fight. We like literally. Why do you think Jim, what's his name, left? Because they lost.
Yeah. The two state of plays that were terrible. Um, it didn't really give a lot of optimism for the future. They canceled their big Last of Us 2 uh, expansion multiplayer thing that they were trying to make into a live service game. They bought Bungie, which was idiotic, absolutely idiotic. I don't I haven't like at this
Well, the
point.
thing is, buying Bungie wasn't idiotic. What was idiotic was because the idea because buying Bungie is these are the Halo people. The problem is that they bought Bungie, and Bungie like there was no plan for buying Bungie.
Yeah,
Like there was no they had no fucking plan. They just bought Bungie just because Microsoft bought Bethesda.
yeah, it was a very the timing and all of that was very weird when they announced that. It was like,
Yeah, because Microsoft bought Bethesda. That's why.
yeah,
Microsoft bought Bethesda,
Activision,
bought ZeniMax, which
Cinemax,
got
yeah,
them id Tech, the other storied first-person shooter people, and they were like, "This shall not stand." But we ain't got Microsoft's money, so what we'll do is we'll buy some shit that Bungie is not a bad company. It still is not a bad company, but Bungie if you're gonna buy Bungie, you needed to have a plan in place. They had no plan in place.
no, no,
They literally were just like, we're gonna buy Bungie and money will follow. It's like, I don't think you understand how that works. Like
yeah,
when you buy a studio, you have to have a plan in place of what you're gonna do, where you're going, what's happening. There was no plan in place.
Yeah, they definitely and they definitely. I mean, yeah, I definitely agree with you. They're not a terrible company. It's just the problem is like Destiny 2 isn't setting the world on fire anymore.
It was, but the thing is, okay, if Destiny, if Bungie hadn't been bought
Sony.
by Sony, what they would have been doing was probably working on something to get people on board. And they probably would have lost a little bit of money getting people back on board, but they probably would have made a better game. But what wound up happening was they were bought
They're bought by Sony.
by Sony, so they had to make all of these really bad decisions to make money instead of focusing on building up their fan base. Because
Yeah.
if you have a game as a service, you have to get people. I mean, how do you think World of Warcraft has made it so long? Because people are invested in it.
Yeah.
Whereas, what's his name? They fucked up because they were like, oh, we got to get all the money. We got to be greedy, and that pissed people off. When they should have been building up their fan base, they were busy doing shit that made people angry. So, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, and Sony obviously, because Destiny 2 for a while was a relatively successful live service game, and
yeah.
Sony wanted this whole live service game initiative thing, and
And they didn't know
they
how to support it. Like what they
yeah
should have done when they bought Bungie, should have said, "Look, okay, we see that your numbers are going down. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you guys a 5-year grace period. Okay, 5 years. You guys work on building up your fan base for what's going to come up next." They didn't do that. They were like, "You got to make money now." It's like, but like there's shit that has to be done. It's not like this is immediate.
yeah
It's like if you're a failing student and you've been getting D's and F's, right? You're not just gonna wake up and be like, tomorrow I'm gonna start making A's. No, there's shit that has to be done.
yeah yeah yeah, and it's just I don't know. Yeah, and people feeling like they're now at Bungie that they're really under the gun and
Oh, they
that
are
they
under the
could.
gun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. They are under the gun because Sony pretty much says like, look, if you guys aren't making a certain amount of money, we are completely going to strip you of your board, and we're going to put our people in there. And
Yeah, but here's the thing though, right? Even if Sony does that, even if they get rid of all the Bungie people and we're gonna put our own people in place, Sony doesn't know shit about running a live service, so they're just gonna make it worse.
yeah, that's probably what's going to
Because
happen. It's just going to get worse.
Bungie been doing it for 2 games. Actually, before that, because Halo 1, 2, and 3 very much were live service games as well, on top of being a single player.
Yeah,
So the fact that they're like, well, you don't know what you're doing, it's like, okay, all right, yeah, you keep on thinking that, bro.
yeah, yeah, and so one of the funniest things, I saw. Like, I think it was this weekend. Yeah, it was this weekend. I was listening to a video about why why Naughty Dog decided to cancel Last of Us 2 expansion. And they were talking about how, first they talking about how, you know, we have, we don't want to become a live service studio where we're just focusing on, The Last of Us multiplayer for the rest of our days. And then they talked about how they have first party games in the pipeline. And I was thinking about some other companies that are able to both focus on that don't necessarily have the backing of a conglomerate company like Sony. Um, I was thinking of other companies that have live service games, but yet put out single player games. You have Capcom, and you have Nintendo, and let's see who else. Let me argue Activision and Square Enix. So I kind of don't understand why they're like, well, we can't expand our company to focus on the Last
Who,
of Us.
Naughty Dog?
Yeah,
Well, let's keep it real though. The Naughty Dog that exists right now is not the Naughty Dog we grew up with. This is not.
oh, definitely not.
This is not. This is not the Naughty Dog from back in the day. This is not like This isn't Naughty Dog that like made Crash Bandicoot. You know,
Jack and Daxter.
Jak and
Yeah,
Daxter. This is not that Naughty Dog. Okay, this is the Naughty Dog. This is Sony's Naughty Dog. This is the Naughty Dog that you know. Basically just kept on fall. Just everyone's like, "Oh, I love Uncharted." I'm like, it's okay. I'm not really.
Uncharted 2 is good.
I mean, if you want to play a movie, yeah,
Uh, yeah, I enjoyed Uncharted 2. That was fun.
But unfortunately, I play video games. I don't play movies, so I was never into Uncharted. Okay, I was like, it's fine. It's a movie. It's a shittier version of Uncharted is Tomb Raider for people who don't want to do puzzles.
Yeah.
That's what
But that,
Uncharted is. Like, oh, I want to be an archaeologist, but not really, because Nathan Drake didn't go to college or get his PhD, so he's not really an archaeologist.
there's there's I think in the third game there's like a skip puzzle button that you can just skip the puzzles and
Yeah, so basically you want Tomb Raider, but you don't want a hot chick with big tits. That's Uncharted. It's like, now me personally, I like Tomb Raider because I like Lara Croft. Because for me, if it's not Indiana Jones, then I'll go with a hot British chick with booty shorts and a tight T-shirt. That's just me, though. Look, hey, you guys like playing as some crazy guy mowing down people with a machine gun. Knock yourself out. I personally am a fan of. I personally am a fan of Lara Croft. All right.
yeah.
So yeah, like Tomb Raider is like Uncharted was Tomb Raider for stupid people. Well, not stupid people who didn't want to do the puzzles and were off and found Lara Croft off-putting with her booty shorts. Now me,
Yeah.
I like seeing a hot woman in booty shorts, so I liked it. I was like, yeah, go Lara Croft, go. But I'm being facetious. But basically, what I'm saying is, so that's the issue I have right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But yeah, Naughty Dog is not the Naughty Dog we have right now is not the Naughty Dog we had 10, 15 years ago.
yeah. Yeah.
It's not the same company.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people were. I mean, people were obviously pretty upset when the news came out, just for the fact that they were teasing. See, they were teasing concept art, and they said that they had a big announcement, and there's a whole bunch of theories and rumors about them announcing the game, and they never announced it, and it's just like
Which game?
the Last of Us Two Factions expansion.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. Look, Naughty Dog doesn't have the chops to do it anymore. They can't. They don't have the chops. They don't have the talent. They barely got The Last of Us 2 out. Remember when they had that first leak and how they lost all those people and shit?
Yeah, yeah, I heard about that.
So if they could barely get shit out then, it's not going to be good now.
Wasn't most of the people working on that game like animators for movies and stuff? They weren't really game developers?
Yeah, because they don't care.
It's like you're a video game studio. What are you do? What are you doing? What are you? Oh man, like I said, some of these game companies is just a bunch of failed. These are just a
But
bunch of people who failed in the movie industry.
but no, that's David Cage. But that's, I mean, Hideo Kojima. I mean, but that, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Why do you think? Why do you think The Last of Us 1 and 2 feel like movies? Like you don't even have to really play the game. Just watch a YouTube Let's Play. It's like because they're movies. They're basically The Last of Us 1 and 2 are functionally what they really are at their core.
Interactive movies. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're
they're just interactive movies. They're what we grew up playing. Well, not really. I didn't play those because I like playing video games. I like gameplay. They are functionally what they are those FMV games from back in the day with a little bit of gameplay interspersed with a movie.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
all it is. And people are like, "I love this game." It's not really a game though. It's more like an interactive movie.
Extra means is fine, but I'm not particularly super into that sort of thing. So if you're into it, then fine. But quit pretending like it's something more than it actually is. Um,
But what do you think? What you care? Don't care?
yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't mind that. I don't mind that stuff every once in a while, but you know, people act like it's the pinnacle of gaming. I'm just kind of like, really? Okay.
What's the point?
Yeah, it's like people calling The Last of Us the first game the Citizen Kane of gaming. It's like what the
It's like
what?
for real. It's for real, dog.
It's just
For real, bro.
yeah, you just get slapped.
You didn't really watch the Citizen Kane, did you?
Probably not. It's just it's a buzzword. It's just a buzzword when it's like, oh, this is greater than sliced bread. It's just one of those things people say because
Yeah. I'm gonna
it's a
turn to
series
George
of words
Carlin.
that sounds nice.
I'm gonna turn into George Carlin. Really? That's the best we can go for, huh? Huh, folks. Uh, the best we can hope for is sliced bread, huh? Not the pyramids, not refrigeration, not air conditioning. Sliced bread.
Yeah.
You got a knife, you got a loaf of bread, slice the fucking thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh my god. It's like, come on, bruh. Don't do this.
Yeah. 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 Sony took a lot of L's this year. You know.
Yeah, and they
They
deserved
took.
every single last one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. They were the king of L's. Um, I don't know if people are gonna root for their success in selling consoles or whatever, but whatever. It's like you know the PlayStation Portal. Oh man, what a disaster that thing was. It's kind of funny seeing people people defend it. And man, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. I'm not gonna be mad how people want to spend their money, want to spend their time. But
PlayStation Portal. Man, fuck PlayStation. I said it. I have a PS4 and a PS5, and I don't give a fuck about either one of them. They're all kind of trash, to be honest with you.
yeah,
I know some people are gonna get mad by that because people get mad at everything around here, but there, I said it. PlayStation is trash. It's trash.
we can't we and we can't forget about the last story, the big story that it just seemed to cap off the year. A man burning down his own YouTube channel. Um,
Oh, Gerard Khalil.
Gerard Khalil, the completionist, and what was found out about. It's like, there's 101 ways you probably could have done to make to rectify the situation, and he took none of those ways. Oh man, the more things come out about this guy, the more
The
the
worse the worse
situation,
it got.
the
Yeah,
worse it
yeah, it
gets.
was. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was.
Yeah.
I felt like
You fell. What was that?
I felt that I didn't really want to say anything until I had, you know, evidence, because
Yeah.
you know. But apparently, it just got worse and worse and worse, and eventually, I was like, okay, so now I got to say something. I didn't want to say something. I wanted to be cool because I'm the type of person I don't like talking about people. But apparently, it just got worse and worse and worse. I'm like, I can't believe you did that, man.
Yeah.
It's,
It's pretty
that's
crazy.
not cool, bro. Not even slightly cool.
Yeah. 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 I didn't really watch too much of his stuff. I did watch a few of his videos, but man, y'all could. Yeah. The fact what really got me is when he basically threatened to sue people, and I was just kind of like, well, yeah, that's it. You lost your mind. You're threatening to sue people. It's just kind of like, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe, yeah. Oh man, but yeah, for anybody who catches this, um, Gerard Khalil, he's the host of the Completionist. He had a charity called the Open Hand, and it was a charity to help people who are suffering from dementia. Uh, and apparently, he's been scheming people for the past 10 years because there's a great deal of money in the foundation that was just sitting there, not doing anything. And he's called out by both Mudahar and Carl Jones, I think that's his last name.
Carl Jobst.
Carl Jops. Um, and you know, they even talked to him personally, and he wouldn't act like the victim. He was like this. I found out about the money. I went in personally to make sure it was moved. Um, and then a few days, he ended up donating the money, some of it, and then he made a fake apology video talking about you know how this is all terrible, and also threatening to sue Carl and Mudahar at the end, and talking about how they're not financial experts, so they had no reason to talk about this, and it's just he hasn't he it didn't do him any favors. It didn't do him any favors.
Yeah, it just kind of got worse. It just kind of got worse. Just got worse and worse and worse. The problem, to me, this is my own personal. What I noticed, just from because I've just been looking at the side stuff. I haven't been paying attention to the main shit. Is that he's just been like, at a certain point he would have done better just coming clean saying, look, I made a mistake. I put something out there. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Um, we're in the process of rectifying it. I'm sorry that we didn't get it done. And it just, it would have been a lot easier had he just done that. But instead he wanted to you know, he wanted to play the victim. Because this is the first time he played the victim. All right. He did the same thing back in the day when he
Oh, what did he do back in the day?
well, if you don't, you didn't watch the completionist, but he used to be he started the completionist with another dude. It was Greg and Gerard Khalil. Um, that was the completionist, and they would play a game, complete it, and then they would talk about if the game was good or not. And Greg, like Greg's big beef with Gerard is that we're starting to make money, and I'm not being fairly compensated for what we're doing. Like I'm not making, like you're making more money than I am, and like, but I'm helping to make these videos, and I'm not getting a fair shake.
Yeah, it seems to be a common story here. With I know Game Explain. There was a big shakeup there a couple of years ago. Seems to be a problem with
So,
with a lot of these channels.
point being,
Point being, he's probably a fake Two Face. He's probably fake, like a lot of these people are.
here's what I'm going to say. Here's my point. My point is that I think he fucked up, and I think that rather than him dealing with him fucking up, I think he rather than him dealing with his fuck up, he tried to bury it because he's probably been burying a lot of fuck ups he's done as of late anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
and to be fair, it's been a slow news cycle this year. People looking for shit to fuck with people. To be honest with you,
Yeah, that's true. That's true as well. Um, so that's the last thing I'm gonna bring up is something we talked about last week. Uh, E3 is dead. It is no more, and I hopefully hope to God we find a better replacement that's not Summer Games
yeah,
Fest.
yeah. Because if it's some shit involving Jeff Keighley, it's fucked.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I can tell you right now, Jeff Keighley's answer to E3 was some bullshit.
Yeah.
Total and complete bullshit. All right. And I know some people will be like, but I liked Game Fest or all that bullshit. Look, you might like it, but crackheads like crack. That doesn't make it good. Okay.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Um, they were the thing about E3 is they weren't really doing much. I mean, they shut down 2020. They came
Yeah.
back in 2021, which was
It was kind of underbaked.
yeah, it was really underbait. And then they
Yeah.
didn't do anything in 2022, and then they just
Yeah.
killed it in 20 now. They didn't do anything in 2022 or 2023.
Yeah.
Um,
The problem, the pro- like I said, E3 fucked up when they made it exclusive and not open to the public.
Yeah.
Like when it was basically because it came out of the bones of the Consumer Electronics Show. It was like E3 was an extension of the Consumer Electronics Show. So why
Yeah.
the fuck would you something that was supposed to be about consumers being excited about new products coming out? Would you make it so that like absolutely nothing? It had no fuck all to do with people.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I said last week, it's like they only have themselves to blame. Like, you know.
Yeah, yeah. They shot it in they shot themselves in the ass. So I got nothing else to say about it. They shot themselves in the ass. They brought it on themselves when they made themselves exclusive and catered solely to just the people who were paying for it and not the people who were buying the products. That's when they fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, our rest in PC3. You know, where's a YouTuber I used to listen to? Rest in Pepperoni. I have no idea where that came from, but whatever.
And neither do I. That sounded kind of weird.
Yeah, it is a really weird phrase. Um, but yeah, that's it. You know, it's like they're just gonna do their own thing. You know, Microsoft or Sony pretty much quit going because Sony just doesn't have nothing. Then
No, people
Nintendo and
buy Sony products because they just have to because they've been brainwashed into thinking they have to buy Sony products, even though even though the Sony products are not very good.
yeah,
Yes, I said that. Sony products are kind of trash these days. All right.
yeah, yeah, they are pretty. They aren't what they used to be. I know I fell off of the whole PlayStation thing. Probably at the PS3 because kind of PS3 was. I mean, I ended up getting a PS3, but it was just kind of lackluster. Um, wasn't didn't feel as great as like the PS2 era. They're definitely getting away from like platformers and JRPGs and going towards more, you know, the shooter crowd. They're chasing the Xbox. Uh,
Yep.
Now I just kind of feel like they're all over the place. Uh, but yeah, it's eh. Yeah. So Sony quit going because they didn't really have much to show. Microsoft had their own event. And Microsoft and Nintendo are just doing their own thing now. It seems like so.
Yeah. Yeah. Microsoft and Sony are just kind of doing their own thing, unfortunately. Um,
Well, do you have any last minute stories you'd like to bring up before we close out the show?
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy Festivus. Uh, I got nothing. Oh no, I got something. I'm gonna bring this up. Basically, I'm gonna say this right now. People need to understand this. Um, this has been a slow news year. All right, a lot of people been bitching about shit that wasn't our big issue. All right, a lot of shit that wasn't big issue, like Forspoken. Forspoken, it's terrible. It's really not that bad. Starfield, it's terrible. It's like, it really wasn't that bad. Now, as far as Starfield goes, I mean, um, it doesn't help that Bethesda keeps on uh, fucking up. You know, instead of working on the game, they're fucking. They got their community people uh, answering texts on Steam. I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Y'all need to take a page from Sean Murray from Hello Games. Shut the fuck up, disappear, and work on your game.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, in any case, this is Kenoshi Abominito here to say, Sony, fix your hacking problem. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks after the holidays. Is there anything you'd like
Yeah.
to pimp out before we hear
Yeah.
goodbye?
I will not have a podcast the next 2 days because I too will be off New Year's. I mean Christmas and New Year's, but I will be uploading uh, videos. So look forward to that. I have a video coming up tomorrow talking about why Starfield is not really that bad. But if there are some issues with the game, and I'll be talking about how I would change those out. That's it.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks, the beginning of the new year. And have a good week, have a good weekend, and happy holidays. Later.